Well, I think all these cultural battles we're fighting make it harder in some ways for a woman to win.
So you think it has more to do with party than gender?
No.
Word on the street is that Bill Clinton, a man whose every public gesture once sent tabloids spinning, has quietly unleashed a storm of accusations against the 45th occupant. The story isn't just about a casual remark. People close to the situation claim he practically blasted the occupant in a private setting.
Although I think it would probably be easier for a conservative Republican woman to win.
Than a Democrat woman.
Because, I mean, that's what Maggie Thatcher did. But I still think we'll have a female president pretty soon.
Throwing out phrases like ruining the country with a seriousness that made jaws drop. The question now is, did he finally reach his limit? Or has this been simmering under the surface for years? This is where things get downright electric. Rumor has it the comments didn't come from a spontaneous outburst at a dinner party. Instead, there's a story swirling about a more formal sit-down, some off-the-record conversation that was supposedly never meant to see the light of day. Insiders whisper that Clinton's words were shockingly direct. There was no dancing around the subject, no polite disclaimers, just raw frustration leveled at the occupant. Could it have been an act of revenge, an unfiltered meltdown fueled by decades of back-and-forth tension? One thing is for sure.
You do?
I do.
How soon? Within your lifetime?
Well, oh yeah. Well, I don't know how long I'm going to live. You're asking an old man that question. I hope I'm around for the next time, but now it's President Trump's turn in the barrel. It depends on what he does and how it plays.
People are paying attention, and they're hungry for every possible detail. They say Bill always had a knack for reading the room. Public sentiment was his playground. But in these whispers, there's a tone of utter exasperation, as though he felt the occupant threatened something bigger than politics, perhaps the entire moral fabric of the nation. It's alleged that during this mysterious discussion, he didn't just throw a single punch. He launched a whole barrage of them, painting the occupant as some egotistical figure out to gnaw away at the country's foundations. Onlookers claim the fire in Bill's eyes during this meltdown was intense, as if he had been holding back for ages. Is it surprising?
Well, there's no obvious guardrail. The Senate's shown some indigestion about some of these suggested appointments. We'll see what happens there. And, and somewhere along the way, he'll have to unquestionable domination.
We've witnessed friction between them before, but never quite so extreme. And given Bill's history with controversies of his own, folks can't help but wonder, why drop the bombs now? But that's only the start of the spectacle. Supposedly, behind-the-scenes staffers are saying the occupant's camp isn't letting. This slide, word of these scorching remarks apparently reached ears that shouldn't have heard them. Sources close to the occupant claim he's mocking Bill in private, allegedly calling him desperate for attention.
Because that's not what a democracy is about.
So you're saying President Trump might have a change of heart?
He might. I was raised in a Baptist church. I believe in deathbed conversions.
It's the kind of petty back and forth that onlookers can't get enough of. Two titans locked in a rumor-fueled standoff. One side insists the occupant is single-handedly undoing the nation's progress, while the occupant's crew rolls their eyes and calls Bill's entire performance a hollow stunt. The tension is electric. Another layer to this fiasco arises from Bill's personal history. Let's face it, he's no stranger to controversies. Some critics argue that when Bill accuses anyone else of wrongdoing, the statement is laced with hypocrisy, yet that hypocrisy might be exactly what makes this rumor so tantalizing. Can you picture it? A former head of state, known for his own roller coaster press cycles, now standing on a soapbox to condemn another heavyweight for stepping out of line. The phrase, ruining the country, is as pointed as it is polarizing. According to chatter, among insiders, Bill delivered it with a vengeance, almost like he was venting years of suppressed aggravation toward the occupant's bombastic style. And the occupant? Well, let's just say he's never been one to shy away from the spotlight. If the occupant's usual MO is anything to go by, he won't remain silent for long. Supposedly, in private circles, the occupant has been tossing out equally biting remarks about Bill's legacy. The occupant's known for turning controversies into a show all about him, twisting them into new displays of bravado. So you have to wonder, is he behind some hush-hush effort to poke holes in Bill's credibility? Could there be fresh rumors swirling that Bill's outburst was staged, or that he's just a mouthpiece for other unnamed power players? This entire drama is a carousel of half-truths and sensational claims, yet the public can't turn away. Some observers point out that these two men have at times shown glimpses of amicability. There were photos capturing them laughing together. At functions, ephemeral moments that seemed cordial or at least polite. But was that all smoke and mirrors? With the occupant, there's always a question of authenticity. For Bill, the line between sincerity and staged charm has frequently blurred over the years. Now that these rumors allege Bill blew a fuse, everyone wants to know if those fleeting smiles were just for show. People are rewatching old clips, picking apart each grin, each handshake, each random compliment. It's a bizarre quest to see. If there were hints, small cracks in the veneer, that might confirm a deep-rooted grudge between two men who once pretended to be just fine. Let's not ignore the storm that's erupted online. Social media is ablaze with all sorts of theories. Some users paint Bill as a hero standing up against a destructive force, urging him to speak louder and publish a statement on the occupant. Others insist Bill's part of the same old boys club, simply jealous that the occupant hijacked the limelight. People are brandishing hashtags left and right, dissecting every micro detail they can find, like analyzing Bill's tone of voice in a decade-old speech to see if it suggests deep-seated resentment. It's wild how the rumor mill can churn non-stop, fueled by out-of-context quotes and the occasional cryptic post from a supposed insider. One thing's clear. Bill's alleged words have become the biggest gossip item in a political realm already rife with tension. But that wasn't the whole story. There's speculation that Bill's meltdown might be bigger than just personal animosity. Some say he's truly alarmed by the occupant's policies, convinced that they could lead to long-term damage. If that's accurate, then this entire rumored outburst is less about settling an old score and more about sounding the alarm on what Bill perceives as reckless leadership. The occupant, in turn, sees Bill's moves as a betrayal or a cheap tactic to regain relevance. Because, let's face it, there's something about political veterans making giant claims in hush-hush environments that sets the press on fire. It's a perfect recipe. A powerful figure, a scathing condemnation, and a hush-hush meeting that nobody was meant to overhear. Add in two epic egos and you have a veritable bonfire of speculation. At the heart of it all is the question of who's telling the truth. Are we dealing with genuine outrage from Bill, or is it a cunning ploy to manipulate the occupant's supporters, or sow chaos among the occupant's base? Some watchers say Bill might be attempting to sabotage the occupant from the shadows, rallying quiet but influential figures behind his condemnation. Others argue that Bill is just as fed up as any private citizen who's been reading the daily headlines and decided enough is enough. This duality, the sincerity versus the strategy, gives the rumor its staying power. Everyone's waiting for more proof or for one of them to slip up and confirm exactly what happened. In the meantime, the occupant's circle has reportedly turned up the defensive rhetoric. Apparent loyalists are calling Bill a has-been who's out of touch with modern politics. Maybe they're right, or maybe they're desperately trying to deflect from the occupant's own vulnerabilities. And on Bill's side, the hush-hush circle around him is playing it cool for now. No official statements, no direct quotes confirming or denying the meltdown. Could it be a tactical choice, allowing the occupant's team to unravel in frustration? As they attempt to swat down rumors that keep popping up in the press, it's a high-stakes game, and both sides seem ready to up the ante. A lot of folks wonder what might happen if Bill stepped up to a podium right now and explicitly said, "Yes, I said that he's ruining the country and I stand by every word." Imagine the shockwaves that would send across the political stage. Critics would likely pounce on Bill's every flaw, dredging up old controversies to question his moral authority. Fans of the occupant would come out swinging, accusing Bill of orchestrating a smear campaign. Meanwhile, the occupant's defenders might encourage him to lash out in a full-blown war of words, possibly overshadowing any actual policy or meaningful public dialogue. That's precisely the kind of dramatic twist that cable news channels feast upon, ramping up ratings while viewers watch the tension escalate like a slow-motion train collision. But let's dial back for a moment and picture how Bill might have reached this breaking point. He's seen political landscapes shift drastically over the years. People might recall a more bipartisan era, at least on the surface, and wonder if Bill is outraged by how uncivil or chaotic it's all become. If the occupant's style truly grates on him, maybe Bill's meltdown is the crescendo of frustration that's been building for ages. He might see the occupant as not just an adversary, but a genuine threat to the structures Bill once navigated. So deftly, it's the type of conflict that begs the question, are we witnessing a personal vendetta? Or does Bill sincerely fear that the occupant's influence is pushing the country toward an irreversible path? According to some alleged informants, Bill's mention of ruining the country wasn't a mere soundbite. They say he launched into specific examples, naming moves he believed were ethically questionable or downright reckless. Of course, all of this remains behind a thick fog of secrecy. Nobody's produced transcripts or verified accounts, yet that ambiguity only fuels the mania. People fill in the gaps with their own theories, creating elaborate narratives of Bill flipping tables and storming out, or calmly delivering his damning verdict with a calculated smirk. Did he wave around documents brandishing so-called proof of the occupant's misdeeds? We have no way of knowing. But the rumor lingers, refusing to fade. What about the occupant himself? By some accounts, he's unfazed, brushing off Bill's accusations as ancient history. By other accounts, he's privately seething, demanding his allies find ways to hurt Bill's reputation. If the occupant's known for anything, it's for not taking personal attacks lightly. Some watchers even speculate that the occupant's associates are digging through Bill's past to reignite old flames of scandal, packaging them in new, sensational ways. It wouldn't be the first time either party used dirt to discredit a critic. The occupant's spin is often slick and ruthless, so if they decide to retaliate, we might see a wave of media coverage calling Bill everything from hypocritical to manipulative to downright clueless. The occupant's loyal defenders will lap it up, while Bill's supporters will cry foul. The cycle of drama continues. In the public sphere, the rumor has taken on a life of its own. Suddenly, every talk show and every online commentator is speculating on how far Bill will go. Will he produce a follow-up statement? Will he address these alleged remarks head-on, or continue with denials that keep the occupant guessing? Could Bill be planning another bombshell, maybe an op-ed or interview that explains in pointed detail why he believes the occupant is a menace to the nation's well-being? People are bracing for the next blow, like spectators at a boxing match, waiting for the knockout punch. Nobody wants to blink and miss the moment it all escalates. Still, some voices are cautioning the public to take a deep breath. After all, this is politics, where rumors often spiral out of control. What if Bill's comments were twisted out of context? Suppose he said something like, he's messing things up in a throwaway line, but it got inflated into, he's utterly destroying the country. That's how stories take on monstrous proportions. Maybe Bill only expressed concern about certain policies, and people who overheard twisted his words into a scorching condemnation. Without direct evidence, the entire scenario could be fueled by illusions. Yet the appetite for sensational showdowns ensures that nobody wants to adopt a wait-and-see approach. They want the fireworks now. It's also possible that Bill himself, cunning as ever, orchestrated the leak to gauge the occupant's reaction. That's a favored theory among conspiracy-minded folks who see 4D chess moves around every corner. They claim Bill wanted the occupant on the defensive to see who in Bill's circle might leak information to the occupant's camp. The occupant, for his part, might respond with a carefully curated mix of denial and bravado, or he might lash out with new allegations of his own. You can almost picture Bill sitting back with a grin, analyzing which staffer breaks rank first. If there's one thing Bill's known for, it's for playing the game with a long perspective, weaving alliances when it suits him, and cutting off liabilities without a second thought. That's the irony of it all. Both men have cultivated larger-than-life personas. One soared to popularity in the 90s as a smooth, policy-focused orator with an undeniable personal magnetism. The other built a reputation on brashness, controversy, and an uncanny ability to stir up a crowd. Put them head-to-head in a rumor-driven feud, and you have the makings of an explosive reality show. Maybe that's precisely what's happening. Maybe we're all sitting ringside at the ultimate political carnival, where each new rumor is a fresh act designed to keep the spotlight fixed on them. Could it be that Bill's words reflect a broader sentiment among traditional political figures who view the occupant as an unwelcome intruder? If so, Bill might just be the first domino, triggering a wave of outspoken critiques from other long-standing players. Or maybe Bill's rumored meltdown will stand alone, a footnote in a never-ending cycle of controversies. Time will tell. For now, we're left with the spectacle, the possibility that a man once known for measured diplomacy lost his cool behind closed doors calling out the occupant in unfiltered language. That's enough to get the rumor mill spinning for weeks. And with that, the stage is set for whatever comes next. Bill's alleged fury hasn't been officially denied, and the occupants' rumored outrage hasn't subsided. Each side stands poised for a definitive move, and the rest of us remain captive to the swirl of possibility. Keep your eyes open, because if there's one thing we can count on, it's that neither Bill nor the occupant likes to stay quiet for long. And if the story so far is any indication, the next revelation might be even more outrageous than the last. This is far from over, and when the final word drops, you might find yourself whispering, "I saw this coming," or screaming, "I can't believe they finally said it out loud." Either way, you won't want to miss it.